there, baby. Ready, ready, ready. Thank you.
Hello.
Baby, you're on. You can start.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Mwalimu National DT Sacco inaugural podcast. We are privileged today to have our Chief Executive Officer, CEO, Mwalimu National DT Sacco, Mr. Kenneth Othiambo. For so many years, he's a seasoned cooperative movement person who has been there for some time. He has also worked with the regulator, and now he's the captain, uh, trying to steer this ship of Mwalimu National DT Sacco to the next level. Uh, and welcome, CEO, for being here today. And we understand this is a Saturday. Maybe basically your Saturday. How does it look?
Right. Good morning, everyone, and it's again a good opportunity for us to actually speak about Mwalimu National, which of course is one of our key preoccupation in terms of what we do daily. And of course, it's a Saturday, so never mind the way I'm dressed. Yeah, but again, I think the messaging is the most important thing. So one of the things that probably we are looking at is get to know Mwalimu better and understand exactly what it stands for and the kind of philosophy that we drive here.
Yeah, thank you, CEO. And maybe probably before we get deeply into the conversation about Mwalimu, you have been in the cooperative movement since early 90s. You've worked with a number of circles and also got into the regulator, SASRA. How has been the journey, especially now mirroring the Mwalimu growth and other issues, now from the point of your personal journey?
I must say it has been quite a journey, yes. Career-wise, I remember vividly, this is where I started my career when I left university in 1994. Before I exited in late 90s, I exited Mwalimu National. Went through some 4 employers, one including the regulator, before coming back to Mwalimu National. And that definitely speaks to the passion that I have for this sector and also for Mwalimu National. Because I remember even my interview when I was coming back as a deputy CEO then, it was a more of a conversation rather than a question and answer session. But that aside, then the issue is that how have we been able to build this institution to where it is? And I want to thank all the people who actually left here and built this institution, more so getting the trust of the members and ensuring that the institution is more solid and resilient. We may have had our challenges, yes, but again, here we are speaking of a different institution that is now actually on a take-off phase, and we look probably in the next 2 years, then we should be at a very good place in terms of the consolidation phase. So that is basically, in a nutshell, how the journey has been.
Uh, Maybe to give a bigger picture around this, the real story behind Mwalimu growth now, starting from there at this point. You having been there in those early 90s and now you're here as the captain. Uh, the real story of the growth of Mwalimu National Sacco.
Yeah, one of the things that actually has defined this institution in terms of what people believe in, and basically what our members believe in, is that members' confidence and trust. I remember in those early years, early 90s, when I joined as a very young junior accountant, I mean, we were basically manual. I remember we were dating members' card manually. There was a lot of trust in terms of how we were doing our things. And even the governance aspect of it was very visionary in terms of where they wanted to drive this institution. And even the employees themselves were very loyal. You could hardly find an employee trying to interfere with members' records, yet we were basically manual. And that tells you even the ones that have been with us longer, and most of them actually are now retiring, having been there longer. is that that philosophy that is built around trust is what has driven this institution to where it is. One of the things that I also want to identify myself with is the resilience in terms of looking at the institution holistically in terms of what is it that it provides to members, and specifically in terms of how does that value, impact members' life. I would speak later on in terms of where are we going to, or rather, how are we defining members' journey towards what you call financial wellness, which of course is the next phase that we're going to do. But of course, also trying to see how do we create impact rather than the usual asset size growth. How do we create impact in terms of numbers? And in terms of numbers here, I mean members that we serve and how we impact their lives on a daily basis, providing solutions, not only just financial products and services.
uh, Now to providing all these products and the services and the growth that you've talked about. We've also seen you've talked about the employee relationship and which now goes to culture and such kind of things. Is it part of what was contributing the growth? Because where Mwalimu is basically because of the foundation that was there those early years when you were here. Does that culture contribute to the growth?
Right. Any institution, driving a corporate strategy in any institution is well, defined by how that culture fits the execution of that strategy. There's that usual saying that culture eats something for breakfast. But that said, then, as we look at our strategies, which have actually, catapulted this institution to where it is now, there must have been a culture of how things are done here and the values that we did believe in that actually drove this institution to where it is. And one of the critical important thing that I want to mention is that culture is everything in an institution. And if you have the people, in other words, what I'm saying is you have the right people in the right bus, then you should be able to be successful in any institution. Right people with the right bus is that you have the right employees, you have a board that actually is more focused and visionary, you have members that are very loyal and, of course, continuously demanding for value, then it keeps the institution in terms of what is it that probably can be done better than what was done 10 years ago. And that element of the people is at the center of everything that we do here. If you look at even our current corporate strategy that is running towards the end of this year, the people and culture actually forms one of the key result areas that is driving our strategy execution. And that defines the culture in terms of how we do our things. And that's how we probably want to, push that element of beliefs and values in future of how Mwalimu naturally runs. Even when I'll not be there, then that should be very critical in terms of whoever comes here must be able to have a very strong culture of how to drive value for this institution, and more so for members. Everything that we do must be focused on members. If whatever we are doing is not actually speaking to the members, what you call inner soul, then we would rather not actually be here. And that is the belief that we have in this institution.
Yeah, and you've talked about leaving an institution that is very stable. So someone would just ask, how does that legacy look like? You being the chief executive officer, the one who is steering the ship, how does that legacy look like structurally and practically,
Yeah.
based on your decisions that you make as a CEO? From
I want to go back to what I did mention earlier. For an institution to be successful, you must have the right people in the right bus. I want to add a third one. Not only the right people in the right bus, but the right people in the right bus, in the right seats. The right CEOs, I mean that you must get what you call fit for purpose in terms of people who are driving that bigger vision of the institution. And one of the things that I've learned over the time in leading institutions and actually leading people is that if you have the right people, you actually give them space to do their work. Get the right people, put them in the right seats, let them do their work. Actually, remove yourself from being what you call a micromanager and ask only questions. As a leader, ask more questions than giving answers. And that is a philosophy that we're built around this institution. If you probably will talk to my senior staff and even all the staff, I'm not that one person that will give you work and they start following you in terms of where are you, what is it they're doing. We have very set, clear performance metrics that we use here. So we occasionally ask you that we need to have been here by this particular moment, and where are we? That is the only question I'll be asking. But I'll not be coming to you to ask you exactly what is it that you need to do at a particular moment in time. I want to believe that I have the right people in the right bus. That's why you've seen the institution fortunes have changed the last 3 years. And I want even to make it better before my time comes to conclusion here, so that whoever comes after me will find it very easy to have an institution that is already having the values that actually speaks to the members' soul. And that is basically what we're driving. If anything actually is not speaking to member service, then we need to go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves whether we are giving the value that we actually yearn for.
CEO, just to move this conversation further, what is it that people didn't care maybe 5 years ago, but today, based on your experience, right now they care, especially the cooperative movement members or the Sacco members, specifically Mwalimu? What is it that they didn't care so much 5 years ago, but right now you're seeing it's becoming something that is critical to their life as members?
Right. I want to put it this way. This is a financial services institution, which of course is Mwalimu National. And that now boils down to the service to members. In this segment of the environment that we do operate in, I mean, service is everything. And service to members define the A to Z of how successful an institution will be. And that again gives us another thinking in terms of the future of these institutions. How would you want to position them for the future? Which of course now come down to what you call a diversity, equity, and inclusion. One of the things that we must inculcate as a Mwalimu National is that we must be more diverse in terms of our membership, in terms of our governance. We must be more equitable in terms of how we treat people internally, whether they're employees, whether they're members. Yeah. And we might be more inclusive in terms of our structures and governance, and even internally, the way we actually position our staff. In other words, Mwalimu National is a national Sacco that actually operates in 47 countries all over the country. Even our employees should reflect the face of Kenya in terms of that diverseness. And that is what the board and senior management is actually intending to do. If you look at our senior management and you see even at the composition, that is what we're driving. And even lower, it actually drill it down to even the employees. That diverseness also has a value in the sense that when people are more diverse, when people are more equitable, when people feel that they're more included, then leading an institution becomes very easy. And that is what we yearn for this institution, to make it more diverse so that people actually look at Mwalimu National not only as a Sacco, but a financial solutions provider. That's why we also looked at what are some of the members' needs that we can serve, other than the usual conventional savings and credit. That's where we want to move this institution to. And basically, if that happens, then Mwalimu National will be one of the best institutions, actually desirable institutions for members to live in. Of importance is, as we do all this, members' service must be at the center of it. What is it that is in for members? If we lose that sight of what is it in the members, then actually we will not have an institution that actually fixed these values and the expectations of why it was actually established.
Yeah, you've talked about products, you've talked about equity, and I understand with Mwalimu National DT Sacco has been trying to bring that equity, especially when serving members and giving them services equally. That's where now Sharia products come in. Is this all about reinventing Mwalimu into another financial institution, or it's just a day-to-day thing that happens? Because I have also seen Mwalimu becoming digitally savvy and all those other things. Is it all about the day-to-day or normal work, or it's reinventing the Sacco into a modern financial institution?
One of the things that probably I would say at this point in time is that an institution is only relevant, more so service-based institution like Mwalimu National is only relevant if it gives value to the people that it serves, which of course is the members that who are our customers. Actually, in circles, they are nothing like customers; they are members. That said, then what we are looking at Mwalimu National is that how can we be able to become diverse in the context of what we are offering, so that we cover a bigger segment of population that have various needs. And you rightfully stated the element of Sharia compliant, which of course is actually addressing the needs of a particular segment of our members, has actually been long overdue. There is also issues around the micro, small, and medium enterprises, whereby now we're not only looking at for members in terms of what they earn based on their payslip, but what is it that they're doing besides what actually they earn on their payslips. And one of the things that we realized that a lot of our members actually are doing so many things. And that's why we have now mutated even in terms of providing payment solutions, similar to what Safaricom does in terms of Mwalimu and Mwalimu, which of course is one of the most convenient ways of how our members can be able to drive their, what you call the side hustles, as people may say. But again, coming back to positioning this institution in terms of looking at what happens around, it is not happening by mistake. It's only that we are responding to an environment that is actually continuously changing. And if you look at even our focus on the youthful segment and diaspora market as well, I want to speak to the youthful segment. This is one of the segments that actually we still need to integrate to the institution, so that they be part of this great institution to provide sustainability in the future. More so when some of us would have left the institution, and we want to see how do we address our aging membership with a focus on making the institution become more sustainable. That now speaks to how do we position our products, how do we bring some of the products and services that are more relevant to them and actually speaks to their needs. If you look at some of their needs, they're not people who come to the brick and mortar branch. They don't have that time. They need everything on the mobile platform. They want even education in terms of what is it that they want to know based on online, platforms. So we must revolutionize our mindset to provide what you call a laissez-faire kind of an orientation to our member service, because there are still our members who still believe that the brick and mortar serves them better. And we can also not ignore them, because they are also the people who actually made this institution be what they be. So basically, the bottom line is that how do we position Mwalimu National to become an institution that is more relevant to its membership and even the Kenyan population in terms of their financial needs? And that speaks to how we position our products and services. What are some of the things that are emerging in terms of what members or what Kenyans want to actually invest in? How do the financial services actually mutate to a level whereby now people look for more convenience and more trust, other than the usual traditional belief that SACCOs are good? We must transition that. And even the SACCO model, as it were, when I joined the SACCO in 1994, has really changed. I mean, many SACCOs actually doesn't actually depend on check-off system. So what is it that we can do to ensure that we also deal with that concentration risk in terms of the check-off? How much can we make more money and bring more people and create value? That is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, you've mentioned young people as you are responding there, and historically, okay, Mwalimu is targeting young people. They are one of the segments that we are trying to target, even in the strategies that we are having. But historically, young people have been skeptical about SACCOs, mostly. What do you think? Why do you think they have been skeptical, according to your experience in this industry? And now we as Mwalimu are saying that we are targeting them, whereas we have that thing in mind.
right? In everything, I mean, people actually look at what is it that will serve them, what is their preferences. If you're able to address their needs well, which of course that's why I mentioned that the Sacco model may be twisted a little bit to speak more to the desires of now of a modern day member than the traditional membership. I mean, ones. One of the things that we're seeing is that convenience is one of the key preoccupation of the youth segments. They need convenience. They need faster services. They need a safe space whereby they can also be able to, give feedback and also be responded to. And they also need inclusion. Remember, I also mentioned something about diversity, equity, inclusion. They need to be more included. And that also even for our younger segment of employees here. I mean, you have to constantly engagement. I was even dealing with one of the employees last week that actually just threw in a resignation. So when I called him and I was asking him, of course, he's one of those youth segment. He's saying that he doesn't like the boss. And I asked him, where are you going? He say, I don't have a job. I'll find one. That is the population that you're dealing with. I mean, they're more, what do you call, they're more expressive and they'll just tell you as is. And if you are not able to listen to them, then probably in the future, you'll have more trouble in terms of making institutions more resilient. And even us internally, we have created a platform for them to be able to be part of that conversation. Every month, we have what you call a baraza, and we tell them, please say what you want to say and let's listen. What we can sort out, we can sort out. What we can't, we'll see how we also engage to ensure that they are part of inclusion, included, they are included within the institution. And that also speaks to the membership as well. You must constantly make them feel that they're part of this institution. And that's why it must cut across the governance, it must cut across the membership, it must cut across the staff element, it must cut across the whole stakeholders so that people see that this institution is more inclusive as much as it wants to be more equitable, as well as you want more diverse. But that is what youthful segment want. They need that element of comfort and assurance, and they want to see that things are happening the way they should, not giving promises that probably you're not able to deliver.
Yeah, so you've also mentioned about efficiency and all that, which is what I think even Mwalimu National DT Sacco has been doing for the last like 2 years to try and make the Sacco digital suave and have all those factors that can be able to support the young segment. Now, someone would ask this question of the branches, the physical, the brick and mortar. Does it mean that we or Mwalimu National DT Sacco wants to move to a point where someone doesn't have to walk into a physical branch and they will have to get the service maybe using an app or something like that? Does it mean that we don't need the brick and mortar or the branches, the physical branches, to serve now the youthful segment, which is coming up strongly?
I would want to answer this differently. What we are providing is the diverseness in terms of service platforms. What I mean here is that there are those members that still believe that brick and mortar serves them well. We cannot run away from that. We must also provide an avenue of how they can be served better. We have those segment of members that don't believe in a brick and mortar, which is, of course, is more the youthful segment, and I mentioned that they believe in more online platforms, and that's why you've seen in terms of our digital strategy, we have been very intentional in terms of how do we make members experience better. And you go to our mobile banking platform, you go to our member portal platform. There are a host of services, what you call a self-service option, that members can actually get without actually coming to the physical branches. That is what we are looking at when we create that convenience, where a member probably would have spent, let's say, 2,000, 3,000 to travel to a branch, other than conveniently sitting in his or her sitting room and having those services with the less bundles of less than 50 shillings, then that, in a sense, would have created value. But there are those members who still believe that they must have that physical interaction, which of course we have to create. We have presence in 47 countries, yes, but can't have branches in all the 47 countries. So what we are saying is that we must gel the digital side of how we posture our services to members and the brick and mortar. But of course, at the bottom of it is that which you have to look at, which one gives us more value in terms of the cost benefit perspective. So as we move that, probably in the future we may not have branches, but even as we move on that journey, then we must create that element of ownership for our members. Because remember, I did say members, a Sacco is good as its members. I mean, actually, a Sacco without members is not a Sacco. And members must believe in the Sacco because they own it. And Saccos are different from banks in the sense that Saccos are member owned. Banks are shareholders owned. You can only have 3 or 5 of them holding that. But Saccos, every member owns a Sacco. They must feel that they're part of this institution. They must feel that the Sacco serve their interest. And now that will also make us to move to the next level. What is it that we're doing towards ensuring that as we do all that we're doing within our strategy and what we intended to do, how do we create value in terms of financial wellness? And financial wellness here is that when a member joins Mwalimu National, to the time that the member retires or is in retirement, how has that journey been? Is he or she better off? Is he worse off? The aim is that, or the desire is that the member should be better off in terms of financial wellness. They're able to pay their bills well, they're able to pay for their medical, needs, they're able to pay for their everyday living needs as well. And the member actually is able to live a life that is more dignified other than getting out of employment, then now we start a journey of, miseries. That is not what we desire for our members. We want to have that transition whereby a member joins, we walk that journey. By the time the member exits, that financial wellness is something that defines the value that Mwalimu National offers.
Yeah, CEO, thank you. Maybe we've been around that tech or the digital aspect that we've been talking about. Maybe in a few minutes we'll be going for a break. But now we are in an era where the digital world is giving us a lot of opportunities. For example, in terms of data and all that. And I understand Mwalimu is speaking a lot of data from their member experiences in terms of how they are spending, how they are using the services or patronizing the services. So is this data helping Mwalimu to customize better products, give good services, or that is basically a dream that is yet to be achieved in terms of as an aspiration, or it's just an aspiration for the Sacco? How is Mwalimu capitalizing on data to make the experience for the members better?
If you'd ask me, in the modern day leadership, data is everything. It speaks to how you execute your strategy. It speaks to how you develop or, re-engineer your products and services platforms. It speaks to how even you govern and lead an institution in terms of what is it that probably you want to do in 2, 3 years' time, because it will definitely give you an insight in terms of how will members' expectations shift, how would employees' expectations shift, how would even the policy makers' expectations shift. Data will give you all that. As Mwalimu National, we're very intentional because we have a dedicated data function that actually collates that data and puts it in a format that can drive decision making and also besides providing insight. And personally, when you look at even what is happening now, the kind of dashboards that we are having, and let me speak to my office as well, I'm able to see from the branches, just a click of the button, I'm able to see which branches closed at what point in terms of deposits, in terms of loans, in terms of members, and what is the aggregate value. If you are talking of that the assets move from, let's say, 57 billion to 58 billion today, where did that money come from? Or where did that element of deposits come from? Or how what the loans actually distributed, what the branches will give you all that, and which are some of these branches that are also not giving us value that we need to, focus on to ensure that they are also giving us value in terms of what we intended to. That speaks to the data that actually we are using. But now we're scaling it up to the element of bringing in the AI so that the AI can now look at that data and give us some perspective that probably we had not actually seen, and more insights in terms of what is it that probably will happen 2-3 years down the line. How can we predict probably risks that probably may come in terms of our lending, in terms of how our deposits will be, in terms of even our revenue? What are some of the sources or rather products and services that we can be able to pitch on to ensure that we drive our revenues better, other than focusing on everything that actually is taking a lot of our time and we are not able to get value of it? That's data for you. And in the modern day leadership, the data must speak to the decision that you're making. It might give you the insight, it must drive your decision making. It's not about intuition anymore. Driving decisions, the intuitions, yes, probably you may succeed, but your data will tell you the story very well, whether your members are being served well or whether your members are not happy. It will definitely reflect, like our customer relationship model. Every day there are a host of customers issues that are coming, and they always raise issues, and that also synthesizes what is their thinking about Mwalimu service. What is it that we can do better to improve their experience and convenience? That's all about data. It makes you focus more on things that matter more, other than just the usual rudimentary what you call operations that we all of us understand.
Thank you so much, CEO. We are going to go for a break. Remember, this is Mwalimu National DT Sacco inaugural podcast that is ongoing right now. Stay tuned. We are going to be back in a few. I have been your moderator, David Muitari. Remember, we have the Chief Executive Officer, Mwalimu National DT Sacco. Thank you. See you in a few minutes after the break.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk. Building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow. Turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National, prosperity for all. Forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk. Building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow. Turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National. Prosperity for all. Forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk. Building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow. Turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National. Prosperity for all. Forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk. Building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow. Turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National. Prosperity for all. Forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk. Building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow. Turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National. Prosperity for all. Forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk. Building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow. Turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National. Prosperity for all. Forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk. Building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow, turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National, prosperity for all, forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk, building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow, turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National, prosperity for all, forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk, building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow, turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National, prosperity for all, forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk, building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow, turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National, prosperity for all, forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk, building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow, turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National, prosperity for all, forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk, building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow. Turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National, prosperity for all, forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk, building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow. Turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National, prosperity for all, forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk, building wealth in ways the world has never seen before. Through the people who keep the engine running, planning today while securing tomorrow. Turning ambition into legacy and ideas into the future. Across oceans, across time zones, prosperity always finds its way home. When prosperity moves, it lifts everyone along the way.
Mwalimu National, prosperity for all, forever.
Every future begins somewhere. Sometimes it begins here. When money begins to move, so does prosperity. From biashara to biashara, dreams finding their rhythm in everyday hustle. Through a generation that sees opportunity where others see risk, building wealth in ways the world has never seen before.
You're on.
Thank you and welcome back to Mwalimu National DT Sacco inaugural podcast. I am your host, David Mitari, and today we are hosting the Chief Executive Officer of the CEO Mwalimu National DT Sacco, Mr. Kenneth Othiambo, who is a seasoned cooperative sector, who has an experience in the cooperative movement and has been steering this Mwalimu National DT Sacco to the next level. Welcome back, CEO. We were on a break and we'll just directly go back to the member related issues. Mwalimu was built by a teacher, and we've seen it now getting into other segments that are maybe to drive growth. Basically, that's what I would think. What do you think has changed, or how do you think what do you think Mwalimu can lose or gain by that shift?
All right, let me start from this perspective. Mwalimu National, as an institution, as a Sacco, the teaching fraternity remains our key pillar. It defines our most important segment of memberships. It defines where actually we draw a lot of value in terms of what is it that you've done and how we get our funding. But again, moving into the future, I remember I did mention something to do with diversity. We are looking at what else can we be able to provide to ensure that we are more inclusive. We need to transform ourselves as a Sacco from what you call a club kind of an entity to a more inclusive institution that serves the Kenyan adult population and drives financial inclusion as well. So that said, then one of the things that we cannot lose sight of is that our critical pillar in terms of Mwalimu National is the teaching fraternity. That's where our heart lies. But again, as we drive this transformation in terms of repositioning Mwalimu National to become more appealing to the larger population segment, adult population segment, then we must look at what is it that you can do to that segment of membership as well, but also not compromising on this other side of a critical segment of membership in terms of what is the promise that we did give them. And that forms part of our agenda in terms of what are we discussing, and even the strategy, if you look at it, it speaks to that volume. And in fact, I'm still looking at volume in the next even 10 years, the teaching fraternity will still be the dominant membership. I know many institutions, also the SACCOs, have moved away from that. Our peers, and of course we understand them without mentioning names, have only 20% of the membership coming from, the traditional Sacco or membership. But for Mwalimu National, that still teaching Friday still remain our bigger segment in terms of where we drive value. But of course, we are looking at financial sector that is transforming itself. It's becoming more diverse. You'll find that some of our teachers actually moved out of teaching, and they still need service. So you can't tell them that you're no longer a teacher. And we are looking at even some of the adult population in Kenya actually queuing for Mwalimu in terms of the services that we offer, because some of the services we offer are not only for our internal customers. That's why we have gone to the Sharia compliant, because we had also a big chunk of our teachers who profess the Muslim faith-based beliefs. And of course, we said, what is it that you can do to them differently? That's why we're also looking at some of the segments in terms of MSME. What is it that our members are doing outside there that we can also help them to drive in terms of how the payments and settlement systems work for them. And we're also looking at the institution in terms of the holistic nature of serving a bigger population segment. Because remember I said, now we're moving away from growth by assets, in other words, what you own, to more impact. And the impact, you can only define the numbers that you serve, the diverseness and the inclusivity that we speak to in terms of what we believe in.
Yeah, CEO, there is this now segment that is not drawing any salary, and we are bringing them in. Here we are talking about people who are doing small hustles. We have business people, we have corporates, some of them, who might be interested to come in any form as individuals within the Sacco. Are we built for that, or we are trying to build ourselves for that future outlook currently? The Mwalimu is.
I recall I mentioned that there are two segments of membership here. One that is salaried, one that is not salaried. And if you ask me whether we are built for that, we are ready because we're already serving them. One of the things that we are seeing is that that segment of membership also is a very rich source of cheap deposits. Cheap deposits here mean that money that flows in on a daily basis, not only waiting at the end of the month, but daily basis for someone who is doing those micro and small enterprises. When they're running a petrol station here, when they're running an hotel there, when they're running some retail business somewhere, that money keeps on flowing. And if we look at even the volumes in terms of what we have done this year with the Lipa and Mwalimu for those segment of membership that actually are using that platform, on an average basis, every month we collect between 21 to 26 million thereabout. If you commute that in a year, that's some serious money that has come in. If you I was to deploy that into what you call a mobile lending, and try to calculate how much I'll gain, that's pretty good income. So that's the way we look at that segment. And they actually, that segment, they don't really demand a lot of money, because one of the things is that they just need what you call as working capital requirements that range between 50 to 100 just to replenish the business, and they pay within even before the end of the month. That kind of money revolving around is very critical for us as we wait for now the end of the month bigger check that normally now also gives us a boost. But of course, the beauty of this segment of deposit is that they're cheap. They sit in our accounts. The cost of that funding is not as expensive as for the rest, but they still serve our purposes. We can use that money to do something else in terms of also micro lending, that as I had already mentioned, and it also adds to our income as well. So that's the way we look at that segment. And as long as you serve them well and ensure that the credit risk in terms of the small amounts that they're looking for to show up their working capital is dealt with, then you're in business. And you can see, ask yourself, why are the banks craving for them? Actually, you look at some of the major banks across the country, they are fully fledged MSME functions. Why are they having those MSME? Because they have seen the value. Some of the banks have actually segments only that define the women and the youth segment of membership. Why are they having those functions? Because there is a lot of value there. What we are saying is that member service now is moving to a situation whereby people look at their needs based on how they belong to the community. And if we can't transform ourselves as a Sacco to that element of posture, then it becomes a little bit difficult to serve some of these people in the future. So we must be that diverse and remove the concentration risk of only relying on the end of the month paycheck to fund our operations. We must have continuous inflow of funds that will be able to show up our short-term lending and be able to make more money. And that basically even drives the bottom in terms of what is it that will distribute to our members. That is basically what we're looking at in terms of that segment.
Yeah, CEO, maybe even as I see it as an aspect of saying it's one of the strategies that you brought in Mwalimu, and maybe I can say congratulations for that, because many wouldn't have seen it in that aspect, because you see the kind of money that is coming every month. It is something that was not previously there. So it's a big achievement, and one of the strategies that will steer Mwalimu even in future when you're not there. Now, this means even a teacher who is earning a salary, or a member who has been with Mwalimu for all those years, and they have a business and they have not been having a place to be channeling their money, it gives them an opportunity to now channel all their resources within Mwalimu. You have a kiosk, you are a teacher and you have a kiosk, you are a teacher and you have a boda boda. With Lipa na Mwalimu, you are able to bring in all your resources and all your money in Mwalimu, which can give you a head start when you're getting credit. That's all we mean.
Actually, we have those segment of membership that they were teachers before. they retired, but they're still doing something. They could be having rental houses elsewhere that are earning them income. They could be having business that they're doing, hardware business that actually is. Some of these members actually have intentionally decided that they channel all these processes through Mwalimu. What we are saying, we sign what you call a rental deed or a business process deed. And that now acts as your ability to be able to access facility. And that also acts as a mode of repayment of that facility because it's already a deed. There's no way you can change it. I want to give an example. One of our senior members who actually retired over 20 years ago, he's still a member in his 80s. He's able to access 50 million Kenya shillings. Not that he is on payslip, but because of the process that is passing through Mwalimu, which is almost 2 million plus, can be able to repay that loan. Only half of that amount can be able to repay that loan within even 3 years. And the member is done. And he keeps on coming for them. And he keeps on any project that he does. And all his kids, actually, even the projects that he does, they are not teachers, but all the kids are here. So they're able to consolidate their finances around that lending aspect that gives them more money, which of course, I'm not very sure, even myself here, getting 50 million to pay through my salary, I can't afford it. But here is someone who's doing it post-retirement and comfortably so, because he's channeling. So mine basically to rally members that are doing something else there. Don't just have whatever you're doing outside there without speaking to us. You get more value on this side. I'm not sure that the banks give you that value. You only channel through equity, you call them 247, 247. But you just try to go for a credit there. I don't think they'll even be able to speak to you in that context of what we are offering here. A lot of our members are bought that idea. I remember one of our very senior branch chairman did share with me a pay bill over a eatery, Lipa na Mwalimu, side by side by equity. And what they say is that the customers prefer paying through Lipa na Mwalimu than the equity one, for reasons that probably was defined in terms of the cost of doing that, and even for the proprietor as well. So that is the value that we want to drive from our members, that holistic inclusion of what you're doing, so that you don't assess you just basically on payslip. We assess you on what is it that you can generate and what is it that you can pass through the Sacco. And that gives you now the leverage of accessing any products and services that you may want from the Sacco.
Yeah, that's incredible, CEO. And this connects us now. You see, this person who is doing business and everything, it connects us to even someone who has retired. It's something that I have also seen you've been pushing so strongly for future and also to build the Sacco. This means that once someone retires, it doesn't mean that they cease to be members of Mwalimu National DT Sacco. I connect that with something that we've seen people complaining about credit and lending, that when they join SACCOs or even banks, all these financial institutions, sometimes it's difficult to get credit. Now there is this other person who has retired, and you still want them to stay in the SACCO. What does that mean for Mwalimu, that person who has retired?
One of my beliefs, and probably this is what I'll pitch seriously, is that retirement does not mean everything ends in terms of your financial needs. That said, then our members who actually have retired, we've seen them, they create more value in terms of even what they offer. Some of them that actually are still in employment. But the truth of the matter is that for us as Mwalimu National, we believe that once you're a member for Mwalimu National, then you're a member for life. And that's even me, what I believe personally. The question that probably someone will ask, how do you build that value post-retirement? We have a number of products and services that we are offering for, basically that is more focused on retirees. And even some of our members who are still on payroll, we are having that conversation that as your time tickles towards retirement, how are you preparing yourself? I mean, we have started those programs to have that conversation with them. What will the retirement look like after? And how can we facilitate as Mwalimu National, first of all, for easier and faster processing of your pension, so that you don't have a 2-year time, 2 years or 2 years and more timeline to access your pension, because that is actually what frustrates our members more. So Mwalimu National will come into that because we are partnered with the TSC, which is employer. We're partnered with the National Treasury. We have people there that we talk to. For the retirees or those who are retiring in the next 2-3 years, we are having that intentional conversation. And even those who are retired, they have been able to access their lump sum payment within 6 months. They've been able to access that as they wait for the monthly one, which of course gives them some comfort. And what do? When we get a lump sum, then we have that conversation. Can we have this lump sum as a part of our fixed deposit? But we pay you something monthly, an interest rate monthly that actually will commute to the loss of income, what you call the salary income that you're getting monthly. So the members feel more comfortable because there's something coming to the account as they wait for the monthly one. And it has really given them a lot of, appeal in terms of how we look at them. And that is the value we want to create to our members. Now, the last thing that I want to say here is that, please, I look at membership, I look at it from a lifetime perspective. Many of our members actually, when they retire, they come pick all their savings. What do? They start probably running into business. It's not very easy to run a business when you're not in one before you try. So don't pick your savings. That's when you're going to start a matatu business. That's when you're going to start doing rental houses. The pension money is actually supposed to make you live in dignity. It's not supposed to be invested in ventures that you ought to have done before you retire. And that is where the mistake normally happens. You need to be prepared early. So we normally now we'll go to the level whereby we'll start that conversation 5 years before, even 10 years before. So they work with our members as they transit to retirement. The aim here is to ensure that our members still retains that level of comfort in terms of how they can meet their personal expenses. I was in one of those conversations where someone was telling, when you're hosting some of our senior savers or super savers, that your children are not your retirement. I think we are the last generation that actually were thinking of the parents. You'll never see that again, including even the teenagers that some of us have in the houses. They don't care. They have no time to listen to those calls. They have no time to respond even to your messages. It is you and you alone. So we need to position ourselves as a Sacco. How do we ensure our members transition seamlessly to that side of life? Because there's a reality.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear, CEO. Speak to, currently we have a segment that we are also looking up to, the diaspora. Speak to them right now, because it's something that Mwalimu National DT Sacco is also so much putting a lot of effort. That is one of your strategies that you've been saying that people should put a lot of effort on that segment. So speak them as the captain of Mwalimu National DT Sacco, because I know some of them are watching right now all over the world. Speak to them in terms of offerings, everything, and where we're moving next as part of your strategies.
Right. I think this is one of the segments of our membership that over time we've not really paid keen attention to, but we have also realized that this is also one of the segments of membership that has a lot to offer. More so in terms of what they bring in, and which of course in other circles is called remittances, and also in terms of what is it that they do here while they're also there, which of course is one of the things they can only do if they have a trusted partner in the financial services like Mwalimu National. Most of them were our members actually, or they were in teaching fraternity, but they left the country for some assignments out there, and they have actually been earning. The issue is that how would we create a very safe channel for them to remit, but also access the funds, because there are only two things that when you offering a financial services, you must create a safe channel to transmit the funds to the Sacco and also access that fund. So we have created that opportunity to them, and even where we normally have those conversations on the social media, you can see now they're more happier. But we are also looking at partnering them. What is it that we can offer so that we support the investments back home? Because some of them basically only there for not most of the time. Probably they intended to come back at one particular point in time, but what is it that they'll find back home here that they can count on as a Sacco having been part of it and having supported them to be able to achieve that? And as we do that also, we want to create products that are more specific to them, more so how can they be able to access funds to, invest in those ventures like the real estates or even the money markets that we are creating a platform, which of course is more appealing to also the youth as well. How can they have those money market funds that they're able to see how it grows daily? They can put in money wherever they are, and they see how it grows. They can withdraw, which of course is something synonymous with the youthful segment that we are seeing. That they are not people who will wait for those 12 months to get a dividend. They want to see their money growing on a daily basis. That is the kind of thinking that we are having. We must be open ourselves that diverse needs if we are able to be, if we were to be sustainable as a circle.
CEO, currently, where is the biggest room for Mwalimu National DT Sacco growth currently as we speak? Because you're the one now steering all these strategies that we've been talking about. And now, in connection to that, also speak to the salaried, maybe through the Salo Express issues, the one that making it easy for people to access salaries. We also have for the diaspora PesaLink, those money transfer services that Mwalimu already has to ease their life. And we also have the check for those, like the member you're talking about, the 50 million, who can access something like that. I understand he's someone who capitalizes on checks when he's making or paying his people or something like that. Speak to that and also give us that aspect of where the room is for our growth as we speak to those, to all those segments.
Sure. The growth of Mwalimu National does not actually depend on the traditional way of doing business, the usual savings and credit that we know. The growth of Mwalimu National absolutely is anchored on how innovative shall we be in terms of offering things that actually, products and services that actually resonates with our members' needs. That's the only way. And here, what we are saying is that our products must speak to what the members need, not what we think. So we must constantly scan the market. You can constantly, listen to the soul of our members. We can constantly have those conversations with our members, understand what is it that they need that we need to offer, not what we think as technocrats or as governance structures out there. That is how the future of the growth of this institution will be. And that's now where we bring in the element of the youthful segments. We need to actually speak to their soul. What is it that they want? What is it that they're patronizing out there? I was in an international conversation where the issues of what you call virtual currencies were being discussed. The question was that how does our circles actually position themselves in terms of the virtual currency?
Bitcoins and
Yeah,
all that.
Bitcoins and all that, because the youthful segment are also looking at them. The central bank locally, actually, when this thing started, they were a little bit aloof, but now they've realized that this is the world order. So how has Sacco positioned themselves to be able to handle that competently so that they can give value to that segment of membership that actually want them? So these are some of the things that we can't close our eyes. But of importance is to ensure that the member service speak the soul of the institutions. The members are the ones who own the Sacco. If they're not happy, they won't grow. If they are happy, then we'll grow. And you've seen that in the last 3 years. When we had our challenges, now when we move to a safer ground and start giving them assurance, and they're seeing the results, they're more happier. But we want to ensure that that happiness is sustained. There could be a few blips here and there, but they must feel that they belong to the Sacco and the Sacco is theirs. That is when you will grow, and the appeal will go outside there. The bit of it is that you'll have very few conversations around staff rooms or about Mwalimu National. It will still, the story would have been told with people who actually are accessing the services. That is where Mwalimu National want to be. And if you ask me, even if my time to leave this institution comes, that is what I want to leave behind, as an institution that speaks to the soul of members and listens. That is the only institution that can survive in this era, financial services. Really jigging. So that's what we want to see.
Yeah, CEO, another congratulations. Mwalimu launched the sustainability reports. I can see some of the things that are coming up during your reign. We have the sustainability report that we launched, Mwalimu National DT Sacco launched. It is the first within the Sacco industry, and it is so ambitious in terms of the trees that Mwalimu is planning to plant around here to impact on environment and other aspects when it comes to equity lending and all those aspects that come around ESG. What is it that is going to be changed by this sustainability report for Mwalimu National Sacco?
All right, I would not want to narrow it down to just a mere report. I want to look at what is the need for us as Mwalimu National when we pursue matters sustainability. And that is clearly anchored on our ESG framework. ESG here means environmental, social, and governance framework that we are actively implementing. And what did we do? We looked at, as Mwalimu National, how can we create impact to the communities that we serve, the communities that our members come from. And in that context of our ESG framework, what are some of the key development goals that we're driving, mostly drawn from the sustainability development goals of the UN, which of course one is the climate action and education currently under our Child Foundation. And as we move forward, we will also want to see what are some of the things that we can also do with our members outside there that will impact the community and make the institution become a brand that is more appealing. Now, sustainability reporting is one of those requirements, even as the institutions, Saccos, move to the next level in terms of how they come the year 2027. Every institution will have to do that. End of year 2027, that means financial statements that come in 2028. We must have a sustainability report. As we started this journey over 3 years ago, we've actually moved very carefully in terms of what is it that we want to do to ensure that we create impact to the community. And if you look at that sustainability report, it's speaking to climate action, the trees that you're saying we are planting, which we are partnered with a number of our members, and now we want to move even to those schools that our members come from. What is it that we can do as part of those schools? Environmental agenda to create what you call a carbon credit. And you even measured our carbon credit now last year, which of course was around 600 and something. That speaks now to how do we look at our future in terms of biological assets. When we move to that level, which of course I expect within 3 years, we need to be more mature. And now we have some carbon credits that can come as part of our assets in terms of biological assets. When we measure that, and that is also costed based on the frameworks that have been provided, then Mwalimu National will be much bigger and more appealing to the community and the larger population, other than now the membership that we're saying. What we are saying is that we must be able to drive the institution agenda anchored on not only on the internal financial matters, but also on the matters that actually create impact in the community, so that we maintain the institution as a national brand and more appealing brand, something that people can resonate with and speak to. And that is not, we are all not only going there just to spend money. We are going there to get value. I think we need to be very clear to members here. Mwalimu National is not a charitable organization. Mwalimu National is an institution that owned by members. So anything that we do must make sense to them, must create value. As spoken about, why are we into this sustainability? Is to create value. When we'll be able to have those carbon credits and measure them and they become part of our biological assets, our assets will be bigger. And that is the value that the members will get. Those credits are not just credits. They are mutated in terms of financial value. And that's what we want to do. And that's how we want to create the value.
Thank you, CEO. Now, I would like you look at your camera. We have the camera on this side, and do a pitch for Mwalimu in terms of all the segments that we talked about. We have the diaspora, we have the MSMEs, we have the Gen Zs, we have the young people, the corporates. Do a pitch for Mwalimu. I think it's a challenge that no one has ever given. You're used to doing it when you're doing the stakeholders and other areas. Now pitch to the online family or the fraternity for Mwalimu National DT Sacco.
Right. I want to put it this way. Mwalimu National actually is an all-inclusive Sacco. I mean, we look at each and every needs of the Kenyan population, not only to our members, but those potential members that may want to join us. We are a big house that has everything that anyone would want in terms of the financial services and solutions actually that we are looking for them. We are trying to be more diverse. Diverse here, I said we must get each and every segment of population, whether it's the youthful segment, whether it's the women side, whether it's the disabled side, whether it's the religious, faith-based, products that resonates with them. So one of the things I want to put clearly is that please have a conversation with us, speak to us through our social media channels, through any other means of communication, even include me, reaching me personally, because a number of potential members actually have reached me personally that probably tell us more and they want to join Mwalimu. You'll welcome you with open hands, and it's something that actually will revolutionize this environment in terms of how we offer our services. Remember, I did mention Mwalimu National is all about member service. If anything and everything else that we do does not resonate with member service, then I'll be the first person to change course. And we are more agile in doing that. We don't just follow a strategy for the sake of it. We look at the environment and see what is it that is good for members that actually will serve the institution and make it grow better. So thank you very much. We can have much more conversations as we continue with this series of engagements.
Thank you, CEO. We will be pleased to interrupt your schedule, maybe in the near future, to have another one.
Right.
But we promise our members that we are going to be having this more regularly, not only with the CEO, even with our own staff and everyone. If you want to join the Mwalimu, of course, we have our website. There is the members portal that is placed there. You just self-on board and you'll be able to join us. You can also drop a message on our social media pages. That is the Facebook. We have X, that is formerly Twitter. We have Instagram, TikTok, and all other platforms, LinkedIn. Drop a message and say that you're interested to join Mwalimu, and we'll be able to follow up with you. Our customer service is 24/7. Make a call anytime that you want, and people will be able, and our people who serve within the customer service will be able to assist you any time of the day. And we say it's 24/7, which means if you call at 2 a.m., 12 p.m., you'll be able to be assisted.
Right, this is a fully fledged contact center. Contact center here, I mean that, as David put it, is a 24/7, not only with there are people there actually waiting for members' inquiries, potential members' inquiries, and to solve them even as late as 2 a.m.
Sure.
So that's the level that we want to create, that service element of Mwalimu National. That's why I speak more about service.
Yeah. And the WhatsApp, of course, also
Absolutely.
the WhatsApp.
Also.
And the Miss Asha.
Yeah, and our
the virtual
our
assistant.
beautiful AI virtual assistant, Asha.
Yeah, that's the beauty of being in Mwalimu. Of course, you are able to be assisted anytime. You are able to reach out anytime, and you get the assistance anytime. CEO, thank you so much. We release you for the weekend.
Thank you.
Until next time, I have been your host, David Mwitari. Goodbye and enjoy your Saturday.
Thank you. That's it.